Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Hey everyone, it's your good friend Eric Thompson. This is the Ninja Selling Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate it. This is going to be fun, you guys. I'm here with my very good friend. It's the one and only Rob Nelson, CEO of Ninja Selling. Welcome, Rob.
Well, thank you so much. I'm not the one and only. When I go to the bank every time, they're like, which Rob Nelson are you? So it's a very common name, but I am the Rob Nelson who's here right now. So
he is here right now. We're both here with you. We want to give you some takeaways today. This is going to be special because this is based on a recent experience, recent experiences, plural, that you've had, Rob. We're calling this Tales from the Road. You're just coming back from being on the road. Went to a couple of conferences. So tell us about that. And mostly what we're after today, Rob, is tell us what you noticed when you were on the road at these industry conferences.
I'll give you the same presentation that I put together for our team. So anytime a leader heads out and goes to a conference or some sort of seminar, I think there's an expectation from their team that when they come back, they're going to have something, right? Like, oh, what'd you find?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so how was it?
Yeah.
What did people say? What was going on?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think many of us spend time on the plane home digesting that and then synthesizing what we took in that we could put to use in our own organizations or what to share with people. And in our Tuesday team meeting this week that got moved to Wednesday, I thought about the themes that I saw. So I happened to spend 18 days on the road, and it was all industry conference stuff. It's conference season in the real estate business, and there were a number of different brands and a number of different networks that held these, and there became some really obvious themes. I think the first thing that I saw is that people are not showing up the way they once did. Across the board, numbers were down.
Okay, so when you say show up, you mean just showing up to the conferences, just
literally
just attendance.
Showing up, which sure, we know that's one of the Ninja 9 habits, right? But there is a physical, like, are we going to do it this year?
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the themes. I think we can talk a little bit about that today, and who was there, who wasn't there, what there is to learn from that, and reasons to engage face-to-face with people like this.
And look, there are fewer realtors in the industry by a few percentage points, and you saw much more than a few percentage points of a decrease in attendance.
That was one theme. I think the second one is that there was a little bit of a distillation of who was there. And there was a concentration. There were so many people that are crushing it, that are absolutely optimistic about what this market and what this point in time represents to their business. And simultaneously, there are some people that are straight up freaked out. They're still worried about things that are behind them. And those conversations were really, really interesting to have. And we're 18 months into conversations about the Great Divide, right? We all know what it is. We all get it, but it's still very much in front of us. And I think we should talk about how the Great Divide can be exacerbated by what you come home with from something like a conference.
Right, exactly. And what a great tangible example of what we teach in Ninja. We teach what you focus on expands,
Yes.
right? So here are people experiencing the very same market. Now, sure, they may be in different locations, but overall, the themes, the trends of the market, the dynamics of the market are pretty much the same everywhere. Yet there you are at a conference, interacting with people, experiencing the same thing, but having a different experience of that based on what they're focused on, and also how they're showing up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that it's funny you say that the markets are the same everywhere. That is actually something that I found to be absolutely not the case. So these agent panels, right? Agent panels, top producer panels, right, are these fascinating things where they're not scripted. You really never know what's going to come out of somebody's mouth. And I love watching how the different markets, the different phases of career that are represented there have a totally different viewpoint of the exact same experience. So I'll give you one that was an example. Larry Kendall facilitated a panel, and it had an agent whose current average time on market for their listings was less than 3 days. Wow. On that same panel, there was an agent whose was over 300. Wow. So What you're dealing with is two people, very, very similar circumstances, very, very similar moments in time. But what is happening inside their markets was very, very different.
Got it.
And the 300 days on market has to do with natural disasters and the rates of insurance and assessments on condos and these things that are like complex. But what I think people left with was this realization that if you've been a condo specialist in these special buildings for a period of time and they're not selling, you better pivot.
Yeah.
Because single family residences in the exact same area have a 10-day average time on market.
Got it.
Just kind of an interesting thing that you see out there. So those were two. I think, Eric, the third thing that I saw and what I came home with is this realization that our sentiment and our mindset as leaders, and not just leaders of organizations, but leaders of ourselves, leaders of the guy looking back at us in the mirror, are more important than ever right now. Because people are sensitive to what leadership is saying.
Absolutely. And I know that that was a big takeaway for you from these conferences that you shared with me before this podcast is the sentiment, the mindset of the leadership of the people that run brokerages, own brokerages, manage offices that you interacted with. Tell us like generally, I mean, I'm sure it varied at least a little bit, but tell us some like generally the themes that you were hearing from these people in leadership.
A sense of scarcity that was by design. And I was really surprised that, and I understand brokerages vary in size from there's one person brokerages and there's companies out there that have 100,000 agents. There is not a model of brokerage that fits everybody. But those larger companies that have dedicated leadership teams felt like they were not optimistic about what was going on, yet their agents, the underlying agents, were. And I think the most interesting thing that I saw was that their lack of budget for this year was giving them a lack of positive mindset.
Got it.
Kind of an interesting thing.
Very interesting. And Rob and I wanted to focus today on this theme. We wanted to spend most of the time today talking to leaders. And first thing you need to know is that everyone's a leader, regardless of if you have owner or manager, CEO on your business card or not. You are a leader. You lead your clients, you lead your household, you lead your community. So everyone's a leader. And also, Rob and I want to make the point that these things that we share, the takeaways, the coaching that we give you, this is not meant to be a lecture because Rob and I live this ourselves. We work on this ourselves. We work to get better on this ourselves every day. Rob, you lead our company. I lead our coaching team. So we're probably going to be coaching ourselves a little bit here too. But what comes up for me when you say that, and when you told me when you came back about the overall mindset, the themes you're hearing from these leaders, is something that Larry Kendall taught me many years ago. He taught me that the company takes on the personality of the leader. And a really easy way to watch that, to see evidence of that, is to think about a multi-office company. And each office within that same company is going to have a different personality, a different style, a different vibe based on the style, the vibe, the personality of the leadership. So just remember, this is a coaching point first to the leaders out there. Remember, your company, your people in your company, they're going to take on your personality.
Yeah.
And so it's like contagious, right, Rob? So we can imagine these leaders that you're talking to who are kind of focused on scarcity, not abundance, that can't help but get trickled through the company.
Yes. And it's really easy to sit here when you're not dealing with the finances of an organization that are having genuine challenges and say that you need to think this way. But that is leadership at its core, is when the going gets tough, and we all know that our vibe attracts our tribe, what are you putting out there? Because if you're not careful with what it is, you may end up with a new tribe.
Yes, exactly. And so your people are going to show up in a similar way that you are. And just like Rob said, if you are a brokerage owner leader, we empathize with you. We get it. Right now it's a challenge. There's been a big change in the market. Rob, we're seeing a lot of brokerage owners that designed their company around a market that was producing on the order of 6 million to 6.5 million home sales per year. Now we're on the order of 4 million. And so leaders, managers, owners need to adjust. So we get it. That's hard. We're adjusting in our company but check in with yourself just on how you're showing up. So player victim, the straightforward definition of that is, what are you focused on? Are you focused on abundance or scarcity? And I'm guessing you did interact with some owners, leaders along the way that did take on that.
Oh, 100%.
That more,
yeah. I think the more seasoned people out there who've been in the business longer go to the place of, I've seen this before, right? So if you're going to set sail with somebody who's done this route 100 times before, they've seen adverse weather, they're going to see those waves coming. And like, yeah, I mean, I've been through this. This is not uncharted to me, but there are people who've never been through this before, and it is scary.
It's scary.
It truly is.
Yeah. I would guess that one thing that's scary for them, because they haven't been through it before, is that they're not quite sure what the other side looks like.
Yes.
They're not quite sure that if there is another side, where those more veteran brokerage owners, they know that there's another side. And that makes me think about another takeaway that Larry shared with me once, which is the leader's job is to clarify the future.
Yes.
The leader's job is to clarify the future to the extent that you can. Now, yes, there's all kinds of things that are not clear. Some things are not clear at all, but you can provide clarity about where you see the market going based on experience, based on other people's experience, based on trends. You can clarify the right ways to show up and how we're going to get through this. So it's those that are kind of putting their head in the sand and not willing to talk about the future. That's a challenge for people within the company. Like they need that leader clarifying what the future's going to look like.
Yeah. And I think as you stand there and say, regardless of my mindset right now, people are going to continue to experience change in their lives. And change is what drives the real estate transaction. And whether there's 4 million or 6 million of them, our job is to only access the people with whom we have built relationships and look for change in their lives and guide them through that change. And it's the oversimplification of the entire operating system of a real estate business if you believe in Ninja, but that's all you have to do.
That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. And what we see in coaching, our clients having the most success, they're just focused on simply that. To how can I show up? How can I be helpful? How can I add value? Where is there change? And I'm going to focus on that, because the thing is, even though the market has decreased to on the order of 4 million or so transactions a year, that's still $80 billion of commission revenue being generated every year, and that should be enough, right? That's enough.
Yeah, and the industry was given a tremendous gift in escalating home prices that in most markets have stayed at the highest point or continue to eke upward. So we got a raise along the way, right? And I also think that what this year presented that a lot of people have discounted is a lack of drama. Right? We're through the things that were dramatic. Whether you liked it or not, we had an election last year. I'm pretty certain nobody actually liked the settlements that happened last year, but we all like
they're done.
That's part. It's beyond us, and I don't hear anybody talking about how to fill out forms anymore.
Right?
We got that piece handled, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think it has to be a very forward-looking year, and that regardless of fast start, slow start, because there's plenty of people that had a fast start to this year. But if you had a slow start to this year in your business, in your brokerage, whatever you're looking at, you've still got 8.5 months ahead of you.
Yes.
And you can do 12 months worth of business in 8.5 months, no problem.
Right. Absolutely. And to your point, so much of the uncertainty that we had a year ago at this time, it has been removed. The lawsuits are settled. There's been an election. Interest rates, we've figured out kind of where they're going to end up. I mean, they're kind of bouncing around, but now we have an idea of that. So we know the rules of the game. A year ago, we didn't really know the rules of the game. These are the rules of the game. We can absolutely go forward. So one encouragement we're going to make to the leaders out there is that go all in on clarifying the future. Go all in on your people, getting fully bought into them, because the thing is, they're going to buy into you. They're going to buy into your company. They're going to buy into showing up to the extent that you buy into them. And that can be hard to do. And when things are challenging, when we have these headwinds, but there's absolutely the opportunity to do that. What else did you notice, Rob, when you were on the road? I mean, you either directly or indirectly interacted with hundreds of
thousands. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, really thousands of realtors. What else did you notice?
Two things are working really well right now, and both of them are brand new and very old. The first is those that have a warm list. And if you're not familiar with the concept of a warm list, Eric's going to tell it to you in just a second. But those that have a warm list and are using a warm list are realizing that transactions are happening slower and taking time to build right now. And I'm going to give you the parallel to that. Those that can coach their clients through decision fatigue. And whether your clients are sellers, whether your clients are potential buyers or they're homeowners who are squatting on a 3 to 4% mortgage and they've put the rest of their life on hold because they covet 3.25%. If you can coach your clients through that, they are giving themselves permission to consider that the best loan they ever got in their life, but it may not be the loan that helps them live their life.
Right.
So I think talk about warm list.
Yeah.
Because for so many months, you didn't need a warm list because your hot list was full. People were calling you and they were ready to go and you needed to help them get to the next step. But talk a little bit about a warm list because I think that is the place where deals come together.
Absolutely. And it's something we notice among our best performing coaching clients. They're using a warm list and they're using it to its full extent. A warm list, what it's doing for people right now is it's allowing them to see opportunity. Because as you remember, the definition of a warm list is it's a list of people who might transact in the future based on life change that they're having. So sometimes they've said to you that, yeah, down the road in the future, we think that we may want to do something, but sometimes they haven't said that, but you still put them on the list because you're seeing change in family, occupation, recreation, dreams, which is making you say, there's a chance that they may do something because there is a big time life change happening with them. Quick story that I heard about. There's a ninja that we work with in Vail, and they have a son who's on the mogul ski team. And they noticed on Facebook, this ninja noticed on Facebook that this family is spending an inordinate amount of time in Park City, Utah, going to mogul camps for their son, because it turns out that's where the very best mogul skiing coaching is happening. And so the ninja, because he's a good ninja, he put them on the warm list, even though like you would say, well, why would he do that? I mean, it's just a son going to Park City, but he noticed that life change. And sure enough, he reached out to them with a real estate review. They said to him, Jack, it's so interesting you giving this to us because we're thinking about moving to Park City. We're spending all this time there with our son. We think we want to sell our home in Vail and move to Park City. So it's life change that drives people going on to the warm list. And when you do that, then all at once you see all kinds of opportunity. It's going to switch you from a mindset of scarcity to abundance when you can see all the opportunities to serve and to help people out.
Yeah. And the warm list, it doesn't have a expiration date. As long as they still meet that criteria and you're in flow with them, people can stay on your warm list. And your job as you nurture that is to continuously hone in on the what, right? So what is the change and what is the effect of the change? And there's probably somebody that knew that the mogul skiers' parents were on that warm list long before they had any idea that Park City may be their next home.
Yes, exactly. And then what's coming up for me, Rob, when you talk about the decision fatigue that clients are having and our ability to help a client with that is very much related to our own personal success. It's really tied back to something we teach in Ninja, which is all about certainty and clarity. And our job is to provide clarity, to provide certainty. And we know about Ninja, it's a process. Process has steps. So you just take someone through the process by saying, okay, here's what happens next. Here's what happens next. Here's what might happen. If that happens, and this is how we're going to respond. So you're just making it so easy for the client. You're just mapping this out for them step by step by step. And the leader's job is to clarify the future, just like when you're leading a client through a transaction, just clarify the future for them, which is simply telling them what's going to happen next. People are just being hit with a lot of uncertainty right now, a lot of lack of clarity. So we can bring a lot of value to them when we can give them certainty instead of confusion.
Yes. Yeah. I think another interesting thing around decision fatigue and how coaching people through that allows them to unlock a bunch of opportunity in their life. If you think, for example, about somebody who bought a house during the pandemic, I'm not going to make up the statistics of how many people are unsatisfied with that transaction and the home that they ended up with, but it's all over the place and it's also staggering, right? I think that if you're doing real estate reviews right now, if you're in touch with the buyers and sellers that you served at that period in time, people are surprised what's happened. And I do believe that if you have that conversation about Ford in somebody's living room and they bought their house during the pandemic, something is going to come up. It's going to look like this. It's going to be, we're thankful that we got this home and we remember what it was like and we had such a challenge with this, but we never really liked the kitchen. And, Eric is an amazing chef. He takes French cooking lessons and he always has wanted a walk-in pantry. And this home will never have it. It'll just never have it. We've looked at remodeling. We're toying with it. We're thinking about a HELOC. You don't have to react in that moment, but you know what you need to do is go search for homes that have a walk-in pantry and just tell them, you guys, I remember the conversation we had, and we do not have to buy this home, but we have to take a look at it. I want you guys to see what a walk-in pantry would be like. And I think that most people have an underlying dissonance around that home, and they love the mortgage rate. They don't love the home. And looking at something else in the most casual way possible might unlock opportunities today, or it might unlock a place on your warm list.
Yeah, we're seeing people have success right now, going back to people who bought during the pandemic, who, to your point, they like the home, they love the rate, but they didn't love the process and they don't love the home, and they felt rushed into that decision. They felt like they had to make compromises they didn't want to make. There's opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom line, there's all kinds of opportunity.
There's so much opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many people in my life that since the time they got their 3 to 4% mortgage have had a job change with a significant pay increase. They have had kids leave the home. They have gotten married. They have added kids to their household. That change never stopped. And yes, rates went up. And there was a shocking period of time where we were all like, holy cow. Yeah. Like, could I digest 3 times the P&I payment every single month? And then you look at the cost of that is putting your life on hold. It becomes significantly less relevant. And so I think that the ability to coach clients by simply staying in touch with them, listening to their change, and presenting opportunities will allow them to get past the decision fatigue that they may not know that they have.
Yes. And maybe to tie this back to the interactions you had at these conferences, using the word opportunity, I'm guessing that when you interacted with an agent at these conferences and you say to the effect of, how's it going? Those who are having success are going to talk a whole lot about opportunity. Oh my gosh, there's so much opportunity right now. And those who are not are saying something on the order of, oh my gosh, there's no opportunity right now. I wish there was more.
I'll be very real with you. The people that chose to show up at these conferences were the people that saw the opportunity.
Yes.
The other ones are sitting at home waiting for the opportunity.
Yes.
So I think it was an interesting thing that the vibe was good because it was a concentration. Sort of, I said, they distilled down the audience to the players, the people that are in it right now and are either they are top in their company and they see the relevance of getting better, maintaining altitude, building professional connections. Or they're the people that see these opportunities and maybe they're not quite there, but they're making investments in their business and they know that they have systems in place to earn a return on those investments.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it was even though fewer people, it was a collection of the players.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Fabulous. Great. Anything else from the conferences?
A whole bunch of fun. I'll tell you that I was blessed to be in the corporate finance world for a long time, and those people are so boring compared to real estate agents. The quality, the caliber of the parties, everything was just tremendous. And many thanks to all of the people in this industry who work in the space of putting these things together. We organize 200 live events a year. None of them are on the level of an industry conference, but I know how much work it is. I know how challenging it is. I know what goes into it. And every time I leave there, I say they did an incredible job.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, everyone. So we want to leave you with show up. And be very conscious of how you're showing up, because if you're a leader, and all of you are, the people you lead they're going to take on your leadership personality, right? So you want to show up as a player. You really have a choice to do that. Every day, we have a choice to show up as a player or victim. We're going to focus on the abundance in this market. There's plenty of abundance, even though there are less transactions. There's still plenty of abundance, and show up. Look for those opportunities to go out and connect professionally.
They are there.
They are absolutely there. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you in the next podcast. Take care.